Welcome to the Purpose Chasers podcast, where those who refuse to let odds or naysayers stand in their way come to chase and catch their true calling. I'm your host, Mark Crandall. In each episode, we shine a spotlight on artists and musicians who dare to dream bigger. You'll hear the real-world tactical moves these Purpose Chasers have taken to carve out their legacies, and I'll break down the marketing strategies you can swipe and implement today. Let's dive in and start chasing our purpose. Don't forget to leave a follow on Spotify or wherever you stream from. Let's dive into this episode. Purpose Chasers, welcome back. I always say this, I'm super excited, but I have Zeke Stern with me, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how this man's impacted me through his collaboration with, I'm sure, a ton. I don't know the story. I don't know any of it. We didn't pregame. He didn't give me anything. I told him the questions that I was going to ask, but the huge movement that has taken place in music and in reggae production in New England that has caused me to go to the movement show, whatever, a month back or a couple of weeks back, and to see just an obnoxious amount of shows going to Hampton Beach that you would not expect. Zeke, thank you so much for coming on and taking time to come on with me. And you held your time too, which is rare in music for artists to hold their time.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, man. It's like to talk about things today.
So what I'd like to kick this off with is your quest of purpose chasing, right? And it's like, so, when did you first get behind the board and say, man, I want to learn how to make a beat, or I want to learn how to clean audio up, to, man, I want to learn how to rock a crowd, to, man, I want to collab on an event and rock multiple crowds. Like, I know your resume enough to know that you have serious accolades, but I want to start with this question and have you kind of paint this picture for the listeners. Who was the first artist or musician to inspire you to the point that you said, I can do this too?
A lot of different answers to that question, because I really started getting into music when I was 12, playing guitar and stuff. But as far as like me wanting to start to produce or start to make my own mix CDs was just one of the first things I actually got into. I'd have to call out Super Dubs from Black Chiney, CD Killer #5. That CD like changed my life when I heard it. It's like the craziest remixes I had ever heard. I'd already been into music, played guitar and played in bands and stuff. But when I heard that CD, I was like, I want to create something. So that I always give them props for being one of the biggest inspirations for me, Black Chiney.
And was it sold out of somebody's backpack, that CD?
It came from the other half of Green Lion, Dana Knowles, aka Chai. He actually, spent some time in Florida, and he's the one who had the CD for me. Because, this is in the 90s. So if you were going to get something, you had to actually hold it in your hand. It wasn't like looking it up on the internet. So he actually went to Florida, got the CD, brought it back. I burned a copy.
That's why I asked if it came out of somebody's backpack. Those are Napster days, aren't they? Yeah. Those are like pirating days of mom's computer has viruses. So you get inspired, you start playing guitar. Like you said, you started playing guitar at 12. Like, can you walk me through kind of the trajectory of what led up to, this is a super loaded softball question, the Green Lion crew and the music that you're producing, which happens to be on my daily playlist, which we'll talk about towards the middle of the episode.
So basically at 12, I started playing guitar, and then I was just in various bands and into music. And in high school, me and one of my best friends, Dana Knowles, aka Chai, he was going to school down in St. Croix. He had been going back and forth to St. Croix his whole life. So he had been listening to reggae down there, and I had just started to get into reggae myself. So when he actually came back to Maine, we exchanged CDs. I think I gave him an Eka Mouse CD and he gave me a Sizzla CD, and we decided to jam. So we met up at his house and started playing some instruments in his basement. We actually hung a sheet on the wall and drew a lion in green marker on it. And it's as simple as that. And then that was Green Lion Crew right there. And so that's how it originally started, is we just got together and like made some reggae on our own. And that just led to us becoming obsessed with reggae and studying it. And we just kept pushing forward. And that's really what led me into being like, I want to be an audio engineer for my job. So when I was 18, I signed up for a school in Vancouver, Canada called Trebas Institute. And so went out there and did a technical school for recording music. And that got me like my technical side up more. After that, I ended up taking a trip to Africa, and I did a semester of school in Ghana, which was also like really inspirational to me. And I brought one of my first reggae mix CDs there because I was already into DJing. At the same time that I got into playing guitar, I had turntables and I was collecting records. So yeah, during that same time, Dana went to school at Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. And that's where he met Collie Buddz for the first time. So we were into upcoming artists. I remember him sharing me like, yo, there's this guy I go to school with. I think he was actually ended up being roommates with one of his good friends. And from the first time I heard it, I was like, whoa, this guy is sick. So that was actually our first artist connect. And that's who I ended up getting my first placement with in 2009. Yeah, just basically emailed some beats, and because of the mutual friends, I was able to get his proper attention, and he liked the tune, and that's the like trajectory up to the first track that I produced.
Yeah, I mean, that is a really good, well put together version of how you got to where you are, or how you got to, you know, your production career. And okay, so when you know, you're building a relationship, the two of you are building a relationship with Collie Buddz, and you start working on music together. And, you know, obviously, you know, I've heard the sound, right? Like, so the sound is good, and you start playing it. I'm relating a lot of what I'm saying to you to talking to Neff about like how it goes in New York, where like they don't just put stuff out; they got to go test it because they don't want to drop it in the world and then they just get clowned. So I know you guys are testing this music and taking risks. Can you talk through? I don't know that because I'm not an actual musician. Can you talk through kind of that collaboration process? I didn't know this question was coming, but I am curious. What's the process of relationship built? Hey, we're going to get in a room, we're going to blow down, we're going to make some tunes to, we're going to build you said this was 2009. We're going to build almost 2-decade relationship with this human. Like that, I just want like, that's really powerful. And I know you still have a relationship with him today. So it's like, I don't know the relationship, but I know through music that you do. Can you talk about that relationship cultivation?
Yeah, I mean, at that time too, like I was just starting to produce. So that first tune I didn't even mix. Collie is an amazing engineer himself who also went to recording school, Full Sail. So I just sent him the beat, and I remember he sent me a version back that sounded good. We worked on a few issues with it. But I mean, going forward now, like I directly mix all my stuff. But at that time, yeah, I wasn't even to the level. So I really believe in just like from the first second you can to put yourself out there, because the only way you can start doing and going through the process is just to do it. And it's key to just start and to start chewing through tracks and getting to a point where you start to feel comfortable, you know, doing your craft. You know, as far as the whole relationship with Collie Buddz, that one relationship is what created all the rest of the relationships in my career. I used that link with Collie Buddz to land a spot with one of my next artists I started working with, which was Kabaka Pyramid. So when I hit up Kabaka Pyramid, no one really knew him at that time. And I said, hey, I've produced a track for Collie Buddz. You know, check this out. So because he knew and respected Collie Buddz, he might take a listen, you know. And so I've always, and then Kabaka ends up becoming a huge artist. And now, you know, if I talk to someone, oh, I've produced for Kabaka Pyramid, you know. So I always tried to take advantage of networking and just working with people I thought were high quality that would stand up. But it was all about getting that first placement for anyone to take me seriously. But the only way you can do that is just to try and try and try.
So you get that first placement, and I know, I mean, I'm a massive, I shout him out all the time, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie fan. And so a 20-year relationship with somebody who has built a legacy career, I would say, I'm going to say it. Collie Buddz, he's, I mean, he drops bangers. I've not listened to a song that's not good, right? It's this side of it that I want to know. What did you do as you grew to lift Collie Buddz up for him to keep lifting you up? That's the aspect of it that I want to know, because a lot of people I've experienced in the music industry, yeah, they get that relationship made and they quickly take advantage of whatever they can grab, and then they crap on the person who introduced them to them, and it's over. Right. And what I've learned in music is you got one crap and you're done. And it's your name's around, and you won't get those features and you won't get those placements. Can you talk about how, you know, I don't want, we'll get off him specifically. Can you talk about how you have done as a producer, how you've lifted up artists the same way that Collie's lifted you up? I think that's a great segue here, because to me, you're like, I'm not on his line. I sent him a beat. I had to fix some stuff. It was like, we got it. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to level up now. You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Really just by believing in myself. And, you know, some of my heroes are like Lee Scratch Perry, people who like King Tubby, scientists, like people who name themselves after their production, and were, I saw the difference of like, okay, there's some producers that are just kind of like in the background, kind of, you know, not necessarily no name, but just not there. And there's some people that like, you want to put their name on the front of the album. So I really sought to like bring value into working with an artist, because I thought, oh, it's only better if I can raise my brand to help them with theirs, because that'll give me the option of maybe like finding some talent and offering them something, you know. So I really worked hard, and I had to fight a lot to be like, hey, Green Lion Crew is an artist. I see myself as an artist, like Bob Marley and the Wailers. It's not just the vocalist, there's actually the musicians and the people behind the scenes as well. So I just knew like it's better to have that than to not have it. So over time, I think that's become valuable to artists, because now I've built up people who enjoy the music I make, and I can give them access to new artists. So that's definitely been key, is just believing in my own brand and working endlessly to try to bring value to it.
This is a question for me, and I also didn't see this coming because you have worked your butt off like you guys have, so you have built up larger platforms and they're on the rise, right? So I know for a fact that you're getting peppered with individuals that would love to come exploit your platform for their gain, right? So it's how do you I want to go back to this question. How do you pick and decide it's time to lift somebody up onto your channel, in the same realm that Collie did for you? You know what I mean? It's like, man, I see it. I see, I see the heart because I see heart. It's not like, do you have integrity or don't you? Because we're not, it's like one of those things. So how often do you decide, or do you put somebody, lift somebody up the same way that you were lifted up back in 09?
I'm always just looking for cool artistic things. And so I'm all, like people see when you land a track with someone, but they don't realize that you sent 100 tracks that didn't work and you got rejected so many times. And so for me, I just think there's a magic there. So I'll collab with anyone if we can hit to a point where I feel it musically, because that's all I can go on is my own taste and what I think is good. Because if I try to do what maybe someone else thinks is good, it's not authentic. So I know how rare those things are. So, I mean, sometimes amazing artists want to work with me and I don't have anything for them. Just because maybe I don't have the right beat. Like I'm like, I can't do what you need me to do.
And what humility. I just want to say that, man. What humility to be like, I don't know. I'm going to go whip something up or go find something. It's just not there, man.
It takes me a while to work on music. Some people just bust stuff out in 2 minutes. I really work on things long term. And often how I work is I have my beats and then I find an artist that loves the beat so much that they're just going to kill it. And there's a lot of misses there, but you can't take stuff like that personally. I don't take it personally. And sometimes, I'll send all my beats to an artist that I love. And I think that, they're going to go crazy on this one or that one. And maybe they don't choose any, or maybe they pick the one I don't expect at all. Yeah. So basically I don't rule anybody out. And I feel like it's a big game of trying to find the vibes between someone, whether it's like you find a beat that I made that you love, or you voice something on my song that is great. I mean, I've even had great artists voice on my rhythm and I'm like, I don't like that song. I'm not going to put the energy and the money and the effort into actually releasing it. And it's not personal. It's just finding music that's authentic and true, so anyways, so that's kind of how I decide whether to lift people up, you could say, is if we connect on that musical level where I'm like, okay, this is something to offer to people that I'm behind, Yeah,
you said you're slow at making music, which I mean, I believe art is slow. Some of the best artists are slow. I mean, one of my favorite bands, I don't know if you could still say it, as a child, was Tool. They're not anymore. I'm sorry, Tool. But yeah, I mean, it takes them forever to drop an album because it has to be perfect for them.
exactly.
Upon dropping it, can you talk a little bit about because you talked about sending beats out, and I know the process, but can you talk about the artistic workup that you get to a place that you have a collection of beats that you're actually sending them out to your favorite artists, like you've mentioned?
Yeah. Can you rephrase that again?
Yeah, totally. So you're an artist and I know, I'm just thinking about Neff, when he gets to a place of he's got a collection of beats and now it's time to get the rappers, to come together, maybe a couple vocalists or whatever, he then sends out it's time. Can you talk through the creative process of making an album?
Yeah.
If you're working on something now, I mean, I'll tease the hell out of it.
Yeah, I'm always trying to work on beats and work on instrumentals, and I'll make a ton but then I only end up keeping a small handful. And, you know, I go to Jamaica a lot. A big part of my journey has been going to Jamaica a lot and connecting with artists directly there. And a lot of times, you know, I'll make my instrumentals in Maine in the winter, and then I'll fly to Jamaica, and all of a sudden, like, they take on a whole new life. They sound different over there. And so a lot of times I'll get totally different inspiration based on when I actually arrive. And maybe even like the folder of B rhythms becomes the key, that I play a couple of those and people love them. So I do a lot of actually like testing and seeing what works for people. But also I've spent so much time trying to come up with something of quality that I've become more consistent over time, to where, so I kind of know when I have some beats that, like, okay, these are something I can play for so and so. Or so yeah, it's a big process of just experimenting, and then driving, listening to it in my car, playing it at live events, sending it to my musician friends, going to Jamaica and hearing how the beats sound there. So I think it's a big combination of all of that.
How many hours a week you think you work on your artistic side, your actual beat making, engineering?
Honestly, it's the thing I love to do most. So I would say, like, anytime I have free time is when I'm in the studio. So like, if all my chores are done and everything is finished, like, that's where I'm going to chill, is to hang out in the studio and to work on stuff. So and that's really what's driven Green Lion so much, is just that it's my own personal obsession, and something I love to do. So it's easy to do that part of it. The hard part is actually putting the track out, the marketing, all the other stuff. But actually creating and coming up with ideas, I mean, that's the fun part.
If you could do that all day, that's all you would do. But you also have to do the YouTubes and the Instagrams and all the. And we connected on Facebook for this interview, so you got to do that too.
Absolutely.
Zeke, you mentioned Maine a number of times, which you just said that you make your beats in winter in Maine, which is nuts to most people, but it's gorgeous. I mean, you're talking about, it's a different land when the snow first hits. But anyway, can we get into the combination of the Green Lion crew and the Granite Lion crew comboing to what, I mean, there's just peppered flyers. I mean, I went to Hampton and it was literally like it used to be all metal and rock shows, and now it was literally like a Rastafarian walk with all the Rasta shows that are coming down there. Can you talk about the grind of getting to where you are? Because I think a lot of people are seeing these events and having a real good time, but they don't really understand that, you know, like Scott, who's Mahali's keyboardist, started playing his keyboard in a coffee shop, you know what I mean, before he got on stage with Twiddle. So it's like, can you share about the grind of DJing to get to putting on these events and being a part of rocking crowds at some huge events?
Yeah. You know, there's a little group of us who are reggae fanatics who have been working on bringing reggae events to New England. I got to shout out Dan from the Reggae Takeover from Boston. We throw in a little event called Reggae Garden, which is up in Maine. And we've brought everyone from Sister Nancy, Luciano, Richie Spice, Anthony B, long list. So he's done incredible things for the Boston music scene. And then, of course, my boy Paul, Granite Lion, you know, he's done some legendary shows at Bernie's Beach Bar, bringing a lot of the American reggae acts and Jamaican reggae acts. So yeah, I mean, it's all like just people who love the music, and it's all our contributions that make the scene actually exist. If Paul was like manager for Badfish for a while, road manager, works with this band Roots of Creation a lot. So he really learned the business on the road and understand.
Yeah, no big deal. I have a loose, I'm supposed to be getting my interview, but they just got off tour and now they're going back on tour. So it is coming.
Yeah.
So Roots of Creation has been mentioned on here before and will be coming on at some point.
Cool. Yeah, so like Paul makes that scene happen at Bernie's, and we work together a lot. He has me DJ most of the shows, and it's a great relationship. And man, I mean, these things aren't easy to have, and I've seen them come and go. So we really appreciate like every single show that we can make happen.
And I have to go back to it, man. I have to go back to it. And I just want to pay homage to the names that you mentioned. I appreciate it. I have attended a number of shows, many of which I really, really needed as a human who needs a show. So I appreciate what's going on out there. Zeke, the getting to the place of hosting events at Bernie's Beach at Bar, like what you're talking about and what Granite Lion's doing, I have to go back to this thread that goes through this entire episode, which is relationships, which I know the names that have hit those stages. How big of a role do you believe that the early relationships that you made back when your partner was in college and you guys were making tracks with a markered up sheet?
Yeah,
how big are those relationships to where it is today?
They're crucial. I mean, there's so many different little relationships that have led to where I am today. And so that is the key. It's just how you work with people. And, if you can be humble and if you can, make things happen. But I mean, to even give you some perspective too, like now I work with Ineffable Records. That comes from the Collie Buddz link, because when I met Collie Buddz, I also met Igor, one of the heads of Ineffable Records. And, I just did that track with Collie, and then we just knew of each other. But he saw me produce over the years for Kabaka Pyramid, for Chronixx, for Dre Island, for Jesse Royal. So then when they started their own little label, he knew that I knew what I was doing. Basically, he had seen the work I had done and respected the work I had done. So then I got onto Ineffable Records, and that's even what led me to get an opportunity to work with the movement. And even when I landed the track with Collie Buddz, I used that to open some shows for free back in the day. Like, hey, can I come DJ and open the show? Just because I've got the track with him. And so then I end up meeting these other bands that they play with that proved to be relationships for a long time. So it's definitely
free work is like that. I mean, it's you want to succeed in the music industry. It is absolutely nuts. It's humility and free labor is the only way you're going to get to the top. It's the recipe that I keep finding out over and over and over again.
Or creating your own thing, because a lot of the events that I've played over the years, people don't know it, but I actually created the event to begin with, so then they're like, how do you get gigs? I'm like, sometimes you just got to make it yourself, so that's one thing about music, is you just have to do everything. There isn't just one avenue where it's like, I'm just going to do this. It's like, you just have to take every opportunity. Never count anybody out, any link you make, any person you make. Never underestimate them, because it's every person that you think, oh, I don't know about this. If you really try to go on who you think is big or whatever, it's going to bite you for sure, because every relationship is important.
That janitor could be a CEO someday and be your boss.
I mean, just being a generalized human too, because then you align yourself with other people who have respect for the janitor, and now you guys can work instead of dealing with some bullshit,
Yeah, man, I am so grateful for your time. I'm 10 minutes over when I thought I was gonna, the interview was gonna go, which was 30 minutes. I want to ask you, I guess, the final question that I have for you. You already led into, it was a beautiful episode. I didn't even have to ask my question about the movement, which is, obviously one of my favorite tracks that you've done. I have a list. I will put a number of them embedded into the blog that's going to go out for this episode. I want to ask you this. Now that you are here from a place of 2009 of, like I said, you guys drawing a green lion on a white sheet and hanging it up by the mic. now that you're in this place of, you know, there's just a ton of events, and you're working with larger artists, and I just want to know, like, what is your vision? Like, do you plan to bring artists under full management? Like, do you plan on, like, what's your vision? I don't know, and I'm curious because I've been watching your climb, and now you cannot ignore your ripple. So I mean, I guess I'm just going to say it for all of those of you who doubted Zeke back in the day. Suck it, nerds.
Yeah, I'm just continuing to build and keep, you know, rolling with the same formula that I've always been doing. But, you know, one dream I've had for years is to upgrade the live performance and maybe do some form of a Green Lion Crew band. That's really complicated to pull off, especially with the way my tracks are, but I keep talking about it people more and more, where I would do some live dub with collaboration with some live musicians and live vocalists. Making that happen is definitely challenging, but that's something I kind of dream of. But really it's just to keep building and to keep making good tracks. Like that's what I want to do because it's fun, basically.
Zeke, thank you so much for your time. If you could leave one message to a purpose chaser that didn't know or didn't have the belief in themselves to go create the event like you and I did, to go then build the stage, what would you say to them would be the winning formula for them to keep going?
Really just to love what you do and to never give up, and to just know that everyone struggles as an artist, that everyone gets rejected a million times or doubts themselves, and it's just never stopping, which all of a sudden brings you up to the level where all of a sudden one day you look around and you go, okay, I've reached another place. So yeah, just that everyone goes through it, because that's one thing I kind of discovered for myself. And even a lot of times when I find people talk to me, they kind of think I'm like a magician, or it's like, because they just see the wins, and but just like how much hard work goes behind the scenes, and that's normal. So, but then when you really love it, it's easy, you know, because
it is. The grind is fun. It really is. Zeke, thanks so much for your time, man. That's a wrap on this episode of the Purpose Chasers podcast. If you're ready to take action, don't wait. Head over to thepurposechasers.com to access notes, resources, and a host of other tools to keep you moving forward. And if you want to supercharge your digital presence, visit scaletosaleconsulting.com to partner up with my team and amplify your impact. Let's turn your purpose into your biggest asset. Until next time, keep chasing, keep creating. Your purpose awaits.